Hey guys, hope you're all having a great week. Today I really wanted to come in here and talk a little bit about energy and emotional health because I think that's two of the main things that we could all use a little more of right now. I know that 2020 is relentless right now and we're all a little tired of it, but I think the biggest thing that a lot of us are struggling with is energy. Even though it's still summertime and we're still kind of out and about, I think that the looming school going back in and what's going to happen with everything in the world and it just kind of feels like the walls are closing in a little bit around us, right? So I think that has a lot to do with like our emotional health and what's going on. And I think that a lot of us are starting to feel that pressure. So let's get back to basics in terms of what we actually can control and what we can do to be proactive about our health right now, especially with energy and with our emotional health, because the last thing we all want is to be feeling low or sad or depressed, right? So I want to talk about B vitamins because they are so important in so many functions that we have going on in our body. And B vitamins are actually water soluble, so that means that we intake them in our food or in our supplements, and then we actually pee them out if they don't get used while we're in our body. So we have to continuously keep replenishing those. So it's not like something that you store up a whole bunch of and you're good for a year, right? We need to continuously be putting that back in. And depending on what you're eating on a regular basis, this can have a huge effect on a lot of different functions. So I wanted to kind of dive into those today just briefly and give you kind of an idea of what B vitamins actually do. So when it comes to B vitamins, or you've probably heard of B complex before, there are 8 different B vitamins that make up that family of vitamins, and they all play really important roles in different functions. I'll give you a couple of examples. Something like B5 is so important for how we handle stress in our body. So it can be the difference between being super overwhelmed and bouncing back, or getting totally stressed out and feeling that stress response going everywhere in our body and things start to kind of fall apart. It's like the wheels falling off the train, and we need to be on track because we're the ones that generally keep everybody else in our lives on track too. So when we kind of get out of whack, like it's a problem for our whole family, as you know. So adrenal glands are super affected. Basically, whenever we're stressed out on a regular basis, especially as moms and as women, we tend to be natural multitaskers, which means that we're constantly thinking of 45,000 things at once, right? And so, hey Amber, I just saw you hopped in. I missed your face too. So yeah, one big thing that we all have to think about is we stress ourselves out naturally already before we even incorporate environmental stress, emotional stress, mental stress, 2020 or 2020 stress, like the corona stress, all these things that are happening all around us. Now it's like school, are they going back? Are they not going to go back? How long are they going to be back for? I know for me, I've been struggling so much the last few days with that whole reality of what school looks like this year, even though we're sending them back. So it's stressful just to be handling what's going on in life right now. And so knowing that, we need to make sure that we understand what happens in our bodies. And being in stress response often, from worrying, from multitasking, from all these things that we do, it sucks B vitamins out of our body. And so what happens then is we go into what's called adrenal stress. So our adrenals get basically, it's like whenever we're in like a constant state of stress response in our body, that can happen from lots of different factors, not just stress. It can be from lots of sugar hits all day long or things that turn to sugar very quickly. And so basically what happens is that our adrenals get shot and we run on adrenaline all the time. And then once that gets shot, it moves to the next system down the line, which is thyroid, which is probably why a lot of women, it doesn't even have to be older women. It used to be that was like an older, woman type thing. And now it's young people too. We're having problems with our thyroids, and it's because we're beating the crap out of our adrenals, which are just ahead of them, right? So something like B5 is so important for hormone balance in our body. Something like B6 is metabolism. If you don't know much about metabolism, it also controls hormones. And so if you have like super bad cramps right before your period now, something like that can literally be because you're low on your B6 vitamins, which is crazy. And I think also a lot of us get really bad cramps and stuff leading up to menstruation after kids, and it's because kids suck the life out of us, right? And then we have to like rebuild our body. But generally what happens is we don't sleep for a couple of years and we drink coffee on an empty stomach all day, and sometimes we eat and sometimes we don't on time. And then eventually our bodies are very depleted of a lot of the essential vitamins and minerals that they need. So B vitamins is what we're talking about right now. So that is all part of it. B7 is folate, which we've all heard of folic acid and how a lot of our diets are not high enough in folic acid to be able to grow babies without side effects or defects, birth defects. And so that's why we supplement a lot when we're pregnant. But how is it that we only do that and only make sure we're taking care of ourselves when we're pregnant and not all the time? Hi dear, what are you doing? Picking carrots, just grabbing some knives. Perfect. Okay. So that also folate, so folic acid is super important for that stuff. It's B12 is also really important for red blood cells, which prevents, you know how whenever you go and you're like, oh, your red blood cells count is off or your white blood cell count is off, like that is signs of infection and disease and things like that. So it's super important that you have a lot of B12 in your body. Also for iron absorption, a lot of people go anemic, and that's generally because if you go back a couple steps, you're actually low on your B12. So many different things happen. I'm just gonna like give you what I would consider layman's terms on what this stuff like B vitamins actually do. So some of the signs of, you know, if you might be deficient, if you're feeling like this, I wrote down some examples. So irritability. So for me, I can totally tell when I haven't been taking my vitamins because I am not patient with my kids. And then I turn into a yeller, which generally I'm not a yeller, but I turn into one, and I am so irritable. Even with Reese, like I lose it so quickly. So patience, I would say, is something that you'll notice will go off if you're not eating properly and you're not taking your vitamins. Depression. I think a lot of us either secretly or openly have dealt with depression on some level over our lives. And so it's really, really, really important that we understand that this is chemical and hormonal imbalances that happen. And a lot of it can be linked to something simple like not getting enough nutrients that are basic essential vitamins and minerals. Whoa, that's a huge carrot. Okay, gosh, I'm like, give me 5 minutes, boys. I just need 5 minutes for a video. So far, they've come in once each. Okay, next thing is, so irritability or patience, lack of patience, depression, feeling sad, feeling low, feeling like, what's the point of all this? That's the kind of thing I personally experienced. Maybe you have too. A third thing would be mental abilities. So your decline in mental abilities, you'll usually show up as like brain fog or loss of memory. Like, man, I just feel like like you're always catching yourself. Like, why am I even upstairs right now? What did I come up here for? Or your husband will say something to you and you actually don't remember the conversation. That's one that I go through quite a bit. And like even judgment, like you'll bump into things more often, or, you'll miss putting something in a spot and you'll break a glass or something like that, right? Just missing like that judgment piece, just with normal function. So that's like a mental decline. Another thing would just be feeling exhausted, which I think most of us get to a point where we feel lethargic, and a lot of that has to do with what types of foods and nutrients we're putting into our bodies. Another one could be constipation, but it could go the other way into diarrhea as well, which is super exciting. For me, personally, constipation's always been a lifelong problem that I've always battled, but I notice a total difference when I take care of what's going into my stomach. So there you go. Another one would be dry, chapped lips. And then a huge one for most of us is insomnia. And so that can look like not being able to fall asleep at night or waking up in the middle of the night and not being able to fall back asleep. So there's so many different things that happen in our bodies. And if we don't have the right vitamins and minerals going in there, then those functions can't actually happen in our body. And that's why we get out of balance, out of equilibrium, out of vitality, and then we lose health, which is eventually what creates dis-ease in the body, which is disease. So it's something that we should really be thinking about, especially right now when we can't control a lot of what's going on in the outside world. These are all things that we can control inside of our own homes, right? So simple vitamins and minerals, it's just a no-brainer, really. So B vitamins have a direct impact on your shiny hair and skin. Energy levels is a huge one because it actually goes in and works with an enzyme to convert carbohydrates and fats into energy, into fuel for our body. Kind of a big deal. If you are not what you eat, you are what you can absorb. And so if you don't have proper vitamins, minerals going in there to help the processes of breaking down food and making your digestive tract work properly, then you can't do anything with the spinach salad that you're putting in there. So we have to start thinking about what we can do proactively to create health instead of taking it away. And I think that most of us are sick and tired of being in crisis mode at this point. It's been 6 months of this, and so we need to get back to okay, I might not be able to control what's happening outside of my house, but I can control what's going into my body. And that does help in the long run with what's going on outside of our homes too. So we have to start thinking about it that way. Self-care is something that we probably talk about a lot and never do much of. And it's something where it's as simple as taking your vitamins and minerals daily to help with your mental health, your emotional state. Also just how you're feeling. If you have more energy to burn through, like that afternoon slump that you normally hit, B vitamins can play a ginormous role in that. And also it helps with serotonin production. I wanted to mention that, which of course we know is the thing that makes us happy. So if we need B vitamins. Anyway, so I just wanted to come in. Hopefully that was helpful. I know that I want to do a little campaign here about getting back to basics when it comes to like, what are the basic vitamins and minerals we should be taking? Because I think in our society, we are so used to getting into complex solutions to all these simple problems. And I think we need to get back to basics and start with, okay, well, what would be the first thing that we could change and see if it helps first? You know what I mean? I don't think anybody's ever taken a good quality multivitamin and felt like crap afterwards. It's not a thing. Okay, so if you guys have questions, please, I will come back and watch the replay or answer any questions that you have. You're more than welcome to direct message me if you have any questions. Or I will drop a link below for how you can contact me if you wanted to do it privately instead of on social media, which is totally fair. And hopefully this was helpful in giving you a little perspective on what B vitamins kind of do for our bodies in terms of especially giving us energy and helping with our emotional state, because I think that we're all struggling a little bit right now. So let's do whatever we can to help ourselves. Anyways, hope you guys are all having an awesome day and we will talk soon. Cheers.